meeting, Business District 1. And sir, did you have anything to start us off with?
Absolutely. I'm just going to kind of give a quick presentation.
Yes, sir.
This is a public hearing for the establishment of a Business District number 1 for Farmer City. I'm just going to give a very brief overview of the Business District program to give you guys a sense as to what we're doing. I am going to start by saying that this is not a TIF district in any way, shape, or form. So this is solely a sales tax-based redevelopment tool that the city's initiating to help fund a number of different things that I'll outline in the plan, but certainly infrastructure improvements being a heavy dose of where the monies will get spent. We are in fact doing 2 business districts, and so I kind of might, just for sake of time and coordination, I may kind of talk about them both, but technically we'll talk about Business District number 2 at the second public hearing that you guys have seen per your agenda. But essentially, I'm just going to talk Business District. It allows non-home rule communities, it gives them the ability to implement a sales tax program where additional sales taxes that are generated within the business district area can be used within the business district area. Mostly what those dollars are used for are public infrastructure related. Streets, sidewalks, water, sewer, stormwater retention type issues, and in this, and I'll get more into specifics. One of the things that we looked at before we initiated the business district program is we wanted to look at what the sales tax rates were in communities adjacent here. And one of the things we saw was that you guys currently have the lowest sales tax in the region, and you will continue to have one of the lowest sales tax rates in the region by establishing this business district. Any of our friends go to shop in Champaign, you're paying a 9% rate. The rate here will be 7.25% with this business district. Urbana 9%, Decatur 9%, Bloomington 7.75%, Normal 7.75%, Mahomet 8.5%. And then like Mansfield 7.25%, and so we'll be comparable to we'll be actually lower than where the majority of folks currently go to shop. And so the nice thing about the program is that we're going to be able to use those dollars in a very dedicated and targeted way within the business district area. The area that I'm referencing for Business District 1, and I may have a few other maps, but I've kind of just pointed out. We're going to start off in and around the interstate. Some of the issues there are the lack of infrastructure and not a whole lot of money to pay for infrastructure in and around the interstate. So if we as a community want to attract real estate or interstate development similar to where our neighbors to both east and west of here, we got to fund it. We got to fund it. And so I think we might look to the business district program to help do that so that we can start recruiting more folks over in that neck of the woods. We've got a number of infrastructure issues along Clinton Avenue that the business district monies will be used as well. And like I said, I've already kind of touched on it. We can also do some building rehabilitation and restoration throughout the business district area. Let me get a couple of maps for you guys real quick, sorry if you don't mind. I think I started. Sorry about that. I thought I actually had a few more maps of the business district itself, but I do not. If anybody wants one, I can get them later, but I do have a couple of the plans if people need to see that. I thought I had these, sorry. I'm all confused. So I'll pass along the plan if anybody needs to see, but the front page is kind of that. And if you wanted to email me, I'm happy to email you a map of the area. The other nice thing about business district funds, what I'll say is that there's greater utility to as opposed to a TIF. We can't use TIF funds to build a brand new structure in a business district. It does allow new construction to be an eligible cost for business district proceeds, and so there's greater flexibility in your ability to use, which is why it's a good program to look to, provided your sales tax rates aren't out of line. I think that's it. I think I might just rather ask questions and make sure folks are aware of how this thing works. It's not terribly large. There is a Business District 2 that I'll reference here, which is more of the downtown area. And there could be cause for monies that generated in 1 could be transferred to Business District number 2 if the city had a need to do so. That's it. What kind of questions do we have just about business districts in general, or this one specific?
Sir?
Yes,
Can I ask a question?
of course.
When you say some of the money can be taken from Business District 1 to District 2, is that just money generated by the increased sales tax?
Yes.
Or is it more than that? Is it all the sales tax?
No, it would just be, I mean, I'm just referencing business district dollars. So the money, the monies that flowed into the Business District 1 could be used in Business District number 2 through a transfer. So it's only the increase, not the general
Only
fund
the
monies.
increase, okay.
And like I said, there's a planning component. I don't want to suggest that that's what's going to happen all the time, but from a planning perspective, we wanted to give the city some flexibility to do that. Anything else? Yes.
What are we deciding tonight?
This is just a public hearing.
Public hearing.
We're looking to pass this by, I think, March 28th by ordinance, Business District 1 and number 2. And that's kind of where we're at. That's where we're at. We do, like I said, we're not rushed and we're not trying to do it, but there are some timelines that we need to abide by through Illinois Department of Revenue. We would want to have it's in your interest to have these passed appropriately at that point.
Am I correct in saying the school tax failed?
Yes.
Okay, so we have the room then.
Yeah, I mean, I think the roads,
We were
yeah.
concerned about
I-
doubling.
Right, I didn't actually follow that, but yeah, Business
Yeah.
District 2, I think, is where more of the question in terms of rate, which we can decide via ordinance. That's up to you, and I can talk to you guys down the road.
Okay.
You've got flexibility, you don't have to do anything now.
Right.
But we want these adopted, whether you move the rate around, that's...
All right.
Any questions to Business District 1 from anybody? I'm closing the public meeting on Business District 1, and then we'll open up Business District 2 in about 6 minutes.
Okay,
Very good,
thanks,
thank
Mike.
you. So we are now in public hearing for Business District 2.
Want me to take it away, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Again, thank you guys, Keith Moran Economic Development, helping the city to establish their Business District number 2. The area I'm going to reference mostly encompasses the city square and what I would term downtown, Farmer City. The area qualifies under the Illinois Business District Act, and I should have made more of a mention to this in the previous public hearing, but basically the standard of qualification for a business district is not nearly as stringent as it is in TIF. Multiple factors need to exist when doing a TIF. In reality, the standard for a business district is much less, even though you're kind of reviewing a lot of the same things. A lot of that's documented here in the plan. In terms of what we're looking at when it comes to how an area qualifies, we're looking at property values, we're looking at the age and condition of infrastructure, utility lines, that sort of thing. We're looking at in terms of the structural deterioration or vacancies, those types of things are things that we look at, site improvements. And in a TIF, you're going to need a number of those factors to exist within a given area before you can actually establish a TIF. In a business district, you really only need one, and also show that the area is economically underutilized in order for it to qualify. So I just thought I'd touch on that. But by and large, business district number 2, the aim here is to is to be able to do some downtown revitalization with the potential of using business district funds. As opposed to, there was a lot more infrastructure needs in one. Certainly infrastructure issues exist downtown due to its age, but we can do more by way of restoration of buildings, demolition of unsafe structures, that sort of thing that the city can do with business district funds down there, and our plan just basically outlines those types of things as well. Should business district number 2 generate funds, we could move funds into business district 1 if we chose. And so that's just kind of how that works. A lot of communities are looking towards a business district. You'll use these monies to leverage greater sums of money or a greater grant. So for instance, let's pretend the state actually did have money, and let's pretend they were going to give away $100,000 through an Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program grant. A lot of times those programs call for matching funds, and a lot of communities will look to their TIF fund or their business district fund to supply that match. So that's just sort of where we're kind of trying to think over a 20-year period. But unless there's any more particular questions as it relates to Business District 2. Yes, sir.
When did we switch from going to a TIF to a business district? I thought initially this was going to be a TIF, not a business district.
I can say we've always looked at the business district program. I think it just got overshadowed. And I think there was always the business district implementation. This was always a conversation we were having and working toward. But in terms of TIF, I'll let the council kind of talk about resurrecting that. It's their decision. So we've suspended the establishment of a new TIF for right now. We're just looking at the business district.
Are we talking about raising the sales tax in business district 2 then also, or?
At this,
We're planning on 0% on District 2. The only reason we really wanted to have a business district there is so that if something came up, because District 2 won't be generating any funds, because it will be at 0%. So if something were to come up downtown, some sort of large infrastructure issue, or we didn't have the city didn't have the money to be able to address it, then possibly that money could be ported over from District 1 if there was funds available.
So property taxes from...
There's nothing to do with property tax.
it's a sales tax.
So the district, okay, so you're bypassing property taxes and just strictly sales tax.
Strictly sales tax. No impact whatsoever on any taxing districts or anything along those lines.
Right.
And you can lawfully put a sales tax on District 1 and not 2?
Yes. That's why they're separated. That's why there's 2 public hearings and 2 separate programs, 2 separate redevelopment plans and whatnot, yes.
All right.
Because we didn't want to increase the tax in our downtown area.
But you want the flexibility, pretty much.
But we can move funds from Business District 1 to 2 if need be.
If there were ever any generated, yes. Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Yeah, 1 to 2, yes. And that happens. I mean, think about it. I got so many different communities where all of a sudden a building falls down. You're like, where are we coming up with the money to deal with this mess? We want
So TIF is still on the table?
I'll let these guys kind of talk about that. I mean,
It's put on a back burner for now. This is a different,
program altogether.
yes.
Right.
Yeah, because the last I was under the impression we had a TIF 3,
It's possible in the future.
okay, and TIF 2 was going to get encompassed with TIF 3.
Or contiguous.
They'll be next to each other, but they won't be rolled into it.
Right, yeah.
Just like there's 2 separate business districts, there would still be 2 separate TIFs
Right.
if we were to create a TIF 3.
Okay.
And that just makes sense from a planning standpoint. I would go out of my way to do that for every community we ever did TIF districts for, so that you
Is
have
there
no...
going to be an advisory committee on this business district?
I think that'll be up to... I think the aim really is less about business recruitment and business development. I think the aim here is really more infrastructure based. And so it's literally, so I don't think that that's necessarily something you're going to use to, at least initially, to where you're going to have some sort of business district committee where you give incentives for anything. I don't think, a lot of my clients aren't doing that. They're using it more for public purposes, which basically means if once monies are generated and you need to replace a section of sidewalk, you simply expend the monies from the business district fund for those sidewalks. And so there's not really a necessity, nor does the statute even say that you have to do any sort of business district advisory committee. It's up to you guys.
Have an attorney double check
Well,
this, right?
Right, and we will be working with you and with our attorney.
I was gonna say, the
These are-
attorney's double checking this stuff, is
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm uninterested in standing in front of your camera, in front of your public hearing and you folks on any of this, so, yeah. But, I mean, most folks aren't giving these monies away, it's simply something that you spend.
But they will be vetted by our.
Oh, yeah, I've offered to do that very thing. I welcome it. You know, whatever checks and balances you think we can provide you guys, we're happy to do. And then blame it on me.
there will be checks and balances this
And then
time.
blame me.
Are there any questions or comments concerning Business District 2? We'll close the public hearing on Business District 2. Council meeting will begin at 7. Call the meeting to order.
Jenkins?
Here.
Hahn?
Here.
Harden?
Here.
Testori?
Here.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All of the public comments are concerning items other than new business, so they will be in section 4. This moves us to section 1, the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second it.
Go ahead and call.
Jenkins?
Yes.
Hahn?
Yes.
Harden?
Yes.
Testori?
Yes.
Motion carried.
There being no unfinished business, we move to section 3, new business.
I make a motion to appoint Lauren McKinley to fill the vacant seat for the mayor.
I need a second. Is there no second?
I'll second it.
There's no second. We move on to item number 2.
Okay, make a motion to approve ordinance 960, authorizing the acquisition of certain real estate, 702 West Water Street.
Second. Any discussion?
Yes. I'm ready.
Gentleman with us and our legal counsel is sitting in the audience tonight. He's been assisting us with this. This is the house that was severely damaged by a fire early last spring. It's one of the properties that we've been trying to work with to get this house rehabilitated. All efforts to get that done have failed, and so now we've moved to the point where we're attempting to take custody of the property. Keep in mind that if we do that there are a couple people interested in it. Should this become ours after you pass this ordinance, then we would have to go through the process of listing it as surplus property and then offering it for sale. And if you have any questions in particular, you can ask Joe Chamley there also.
If there's other people interested in buying the property, why are we buying it?
Why are we buying it? Well, we are not buying it, Scott. This is an ordinance violation.
Okay.
We're seeking the house through ordinance violations because the owners, the current owners, would not make the necessary repairs to bring it back up to speed.
Okay.
So this is the end result. This is the same process on South John,
Right?
but on South John's, the repairs were made and are still being made. We tried diligently to get the repairs made there, but it fell through.
And the ordinance says that we're purchasing this for $10. That's why I'm asking why we're purchasing it.
I believe that has to be some type of a tender offer.
And the owners, is the owner agreeable to it? Is it just something they don't have a choice about?
They agreed to it.
So why wouldn't they agree to sell it to somebody else?
I don't know.
Okay. If we get it, what's it gonna cost the city? Are we gonna give up the taxes on it, or are we gonna?
Are we going to give up the taxes?
I mean, how's the city gonna recoup their money on this?
through
Because
this?
we're gonna demolish it, right?
No, we're not going to demolish it. No, we're not going to demolish it. There are two different citizens that have called into City Hall that are interested, should the city obtain this property. One such person attempted to directly go to her, but that fell through for whatever reason. I'm not sure exactly what the reasons are.
I'm just trying to figure out why the city needs to be the middleman. Can we facilitate the agreement between her and somebody else without getting involved in it ourselves?
Larry, if I could address
Go ahead,
that. I
please.
attempted to do that.
You did?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And that fell through. I was advised by potential buyers that they didn't really want to deal with this in the current situation. At that point in time, I advised Larry that it appears that our attempts to get a buyer didn't seem to be happening. I said, okay, we'll just have to proceed with the litigation. At that point in time, one of the owners contacted me and said, I need to solve this problem. What if I conveyed it to the city? And
Okay.
I said, well, let me address that and see if the city wants to do that. Therefore, that's the origin of that ordinance that you have in front of you.
So if we get this, then we're going to be able to recoup the back taxes and utilities and anything else that's owed on it?
Not utilities, but the back taxes. Back taxes have been paid, and I have proof of that by the owner. That was a condition of this proposal, and they are going to, as part of this, if the city accepts this, they're going to pay the city the 2015 taxes as detailed in the agreement.
If it becomes ours as well, then we'll list it on our books. There won't be any taxes during the time that it's ours. And utilities have been paid. There are no outstanding utilities on this house.
How soon will we turn it over then?
There'll be some process that he'll have to go through, so.
Well, we have to, if we buy this, take this over, we obviously have to follow state law, declare it surplus, put notice out, and go through the process of selling it.
How long does that take?
I don't know off the top of my head, but obviously maybe a month, maybe two.
So in 2 months we could be done with this?
It's possible.
And we got two people interested.
Yes, there are.
Additionally, what we have is a house that is partially burnt down,
Yeah,
and it just, I mean, it's horrible looking.
So we're at a year right now.
Huh?
We're at a year right now that
Yeah.
nothing has happened to this house at
So,
all.
it is definitely a community eyesore. And I believe the windows even look like animals can probably get in.
It is not.
It's
It is, I'm having trouble with why it can't be sold to the other people directly. It's okay. I mean, it's not too much to buy it for. I just don't think we're in the real estate business, but I understand where we're at.
Very good. Any other questions? Call it.
Harden,
Yes.
Testori,
Yes.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
and Terry.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2016-8, authorizing $1,000 donation to the Piatt County Senior Citizen Transportation.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
As you gentlemen know, for the past couple of years, we've made donations to keep the senior citizen bus available for people here in Farmer City. Again, they have come to us and they've asked for the donation. This is something that comes out of the administrative line for in the budget, so,
Combine is still involved in that.
yes.
Do we have at least a couple residents using it?
Yes, we do.
All right.
It's well worth the money.
As long as we got people using it.
Call it.
Tessori,
Yes.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Hahn,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
motion carried.
I'd like to make a resolution that we accept 2016-9, awarding bid for the 2016 mowing season.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
In my manager's report, I listed the 4 bids that were received and the amounts that they submitted on a per mow for the parcels that we always bid out. Not knowing if you gentlemen had received any complaints, comments, whatever, I'm kind of leaving it up to you. The 2 bids were close, bid A and bid B. You see one is $579 per mow, one is $500 per mow. The third one is $676 per mow, and the final one is $639 per mow. So you gentlemen can determine who you would like to do your mowing for the new budget year.
Who mowed it last year?
B, Hammer Mowing.
Hammer mowing.
Did they have incidentals? I mean, that was the price, or they have extras,
No, there's no add-ons.
no add-ons? Is there a relationship with Hammer and anybody in the city? I mean, is there?
Not that I'm aware of, but
Okay.
Were there any problems?
we had an occasional complaint about the lack of trimming and picking up of trash.
Was it worth the extra $79 to let somebody else get it a shot?
That's totally up to you gentlemen. I never know if you guys are out and you hear complaints.
I haven't heard any.
But we're approving the contract, not the person in here.
You're approving
The person
which
also.
person you want
Oh.
on that resolution. So it's Hammer Mowing, or I'm sorry, Hammett Mowing at $579, Hammer Mowing at $500, Back 40 Mowing at $676, or H&H Mowing at $639.
Did you find any validity to the complaints?
There was validity to the complaints, yes.
Are we interested in trying Hammett? They've done it in the past.
Did they have complaints?
Not that I recall.
Any objection to Hammett?
No.
Hammett. Go ahead and call it.
Jenkins,
Yes?
Hahn,
Abstain.
Harden,
Yes.
Tessori,
Yes.
motion carried.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2016-10, awarding the bid for the 2016 farm season.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Every year, of course, we've got our 20 acres out there that we lease out. This year, there was only one bid that was submitted. That came back from Walsh Farms. They've been doing it for quite a while, I believe, even before the city owned it. You see that it came in at $275 per acre.
You had 2 bids,
There was only one bid for the farmland.
and this is resolution said 2 bids, that's why I'm asking.
No, it says 1 bid.
No, in the resolution it said received 2 bids.
Yes, it does. That correction can be made right now.
Will we be able to make the repair to the tile while they're, with them farming it?
Which tile?
Well, that big,
This is
It's
different.
different?
This is,
This is north of the interstate.
This is our land.
all right, no, my mistake, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, you're fine. I was just went, what do you know? Good question.
any other discussion? With the correction from 2 to A, call it.
Can I ask a question?
Not at this time, sir. You want me to call it?
Han,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
Testori,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
motion carried.
This brings us to section 4, other business, the city manager's report.
Several things on here. There's, we had contracted Farnsworth Group because there were 3 areas here in town where we had citizens complaints about ponding water, standing water, water in basements, water in buildings, etc. And so Farnsworth did send a crew out about 10 days ago. I got the results of that. One of the areas is the area on West Market Street, and I believe that the homeowners may be here tonight. Farnsworth Group had looked at that, and their suggestion is, if you're familiar with Market, the last street that goes north is Harrison. It just goes around and loops back into High Street. There's a pasture there, and there's farmland, which is part of the subdivision that goes to the south. Farnsworth Group believes that a tile could run from existing catch basins that are inoperable and run a new tile south past Water Street. It's very extensive work that they're proposing, and it also comes at a price tag of some $55,000. Now, $55,000 does not include any legal fees that we would have as we try to get easements, and there would be more survey work done with that. I went back and talked to Fred. Farnsworth Group didn't realize that there was an existing tile approximately a block and a half north of Market Street, West Market Street, that does work properly. That tile was installed by the city some 10 to 12 years ago. So the new plan, and I told the property owners about Plan A and Plan B. That plan is to run that, a new tile, set new catch basins, and run the water north and hook into that tile system, since that already works, which allows the water to go on to the slough. Talking with the street guys, they believe that within the next 30 days, weather permitting, that they could have that work done, and that's going to be somewhere around $3,500. Much less than the $55,000 that Farnsworth Group had estimated. So there again, if everything goes according to schedule, right now they've got some of those odd spring jobs that they've got to get done, but then they're going to tackle that. Another part of the issue with the standing water was up on North John Street, the Depot Road area. And one thing that Farnsworth stated there is that that catch basin that we have discussed many times has to be fixed before you can proceed any other way. So we're still waiting on the township to get a hold of us, because we said that we would assist, so that catch basin can be fixed. There again, now what they are proposing is that a new tile run from that catch basin at 150 and North John. It would proceed underneath the tracks, and it would go west along Depot Road into that open ditch. That's projected to be at some $95,000. So both of these projects are rather expensive. There's a lot of silting going on into that current catch basin system up there, so corrections would have to be made so that wouldn't happen any longer. If you've been out and about, you'll see that the crews have been out South Park. They've done a lot of work out there. They're picking up brush. They've been working on the roads. Gates have been installed back to the soccer field and the BMX to try to reduce any vandalism that could happen back there. Those gates are being kept locked while there's not a sanctioned event going on out there on the soccer field or at BMX. Both of those entities will have a key as well, so they can come and go as they want. Negotiations are continuing with the FOP, and as you see that we did have a meeting on Monday the 14th. Something that's taken quite a while, the I-74 water main loop is now free-flowing and hooked into the system. That loop was installed back in 2004, and it sat there idle until Calvin came on board. Calvin's been struggling trying to get that thing up and running. Right after it was installed, there was a construction permit, but never an operating permit for that. It took him quite a while to get good samples. It was filled with water, and it sat there all these years. The EPA has finally granted us the operating permit. Samples came back good, and so now that water main provides us with a secondary means of water coming into the community. So it comes through the I-74 loop, and then it comes down North Plum Street. So now we have two means. The electric department is continuing to install the radio read meters. By the end of this year, it's very possible, if they stay on schedule and funds allowed, that all of the electric meters will be converted to radio read. The electric meters are a lot cheaper than the water meters. They can be remanufactured from a standard meter to a radio read meter, so that reduces the cost dramatically. The water department is continuing to install theirs, but it's going to be a couple-year process, because if you see that a water meter is literally 3 times the amount of an electric water meter, or of an electric meter, I'm sorry.
That's the kind of meter you drive down the street and it just reads?
Correct.
So we could have like the police cars doing that, and free
Sure.
up an electric guy?
Absolutely. Yep. Of course, the water department reads the meters, not the electric.
All right,
Yes,
I'm sorry.
yes. Sandy could do it in her spare time. Maple Street Sewer Project, you see that that was given to Farnsworth Group. They have been down there, they've done some survey work. We haven't heard back from them yet. That could be 30 days out before we get an actual plan. They'll bring us the plan, they'll show it to us. Keep in mind that that thing is running somewhere around 4.5 to 5 foot deep at the deepest parts. After there's a plan, then obviously it has to go to the EPA to get a permit, installation permit. The bathroom facility at South Park, I've asked about it again. I was told that with the weather being nice, that they'll be out there working on it ASAP. And I was also told that Jed Reynolds is a subcontractor to install the septic system. So that's what I have, gentlemen.
Any questions to the city manager and his report?
Not about the report, but I've got it.
You got non-agenda items,
I
no
do.
business?
One, just real quick, I did see, you also stated on the Maple Street, that the city employees who will be involved in construction projects have received their annual confined space training through IMLRM, so they are fully trained to be able to do
For
that.
confined space, yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, great. And then it looks like we're moving forward on the Prairie Ridge as well.
Yes, the Prairie Ridge water main, the Prairie Ridge water main, the extension from Honeysuckle to Bluebell, we have applied for the EPA permit. With the EPA, that could take 30 days. We could literally receive it tomorrow. The 54 loop portion is still in the design phase. So I don't know when we'll get that back from Farnsworth.
Thank you.
Non-agenda and other items and other business.
Yeah, did we get that parking situation resolved for the drugstore over Heritage Days?
No.
He's here to speak tonight on that as well.
Okay.
I did do some research on that with the Department of Justice, and there are laws about that street being, about her access being to her front of her store. Particularly during the event. But I've asked before if this is a city-owned function, and the reason I've asked that is because as a city-owned function, we've put a lot of money into this. I think we have the right, and we should say, 200 block will stay open until the last possible hour on Thursday. And the Carnival Group is just going to have to figure out what they're going to put there that they can set up quickly and get it down quickly. I don't think it should be negotiable.
Yeah, I don't want to take the chance to hurt the drugstore if that inspector comes by and...
And I did go down after the last meeting, and I spoke briefly with Norma, and I told her that if she had some documentation of this inspection and everything, please bring it to the council. So, there's some backing on that side of it.
She'll be here to speak here in a few minutes, and we can possibly continue this discussion.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Is there any other non-agenda items and other business? Real quick, I like having a lawyer here. I'm just saying that. And I spoke to some of the other mayors and concerning, stuff that's happened in the past. And, of course, they have a lawyer that lives in the city. And they have a lawyer there on the spot. And it's something that I would greatly encourage this council to, see what we can do, if we can make arrangements with our current law firm or just, I would like legal representation here. We are dealing with issues constantly, and there are decisions that are made here that I need assurance for when I vote. So, making that comment, and I'll be discussing this further with you as well.
I can
So,
reach out to our law firm and see what
So-
we can negotiate.
so I'm just making that point. So, and something that I believe that we need to follow up on as soon as possible. So,
Did you have a lawyer before you went to the paper?
very good. Is there any other non-agenda items in other business? Public comments. We have several this evening. The first one that we have is Norma Holtz.
I do have documentation to present as far as it goes for my requirements, that for me to participate in certain contracts. I'll provide, I've had to white out major portions because of course there is information that is correct. So I specifically left open the wording that states that the pharmacy must be open and easily accessible, and that it has to be directly accessible from public space, which is with the road closure, if the road is being closed, I see that as a direct conflict with my signing of my document that says I am directly accessible.
Can I have one of them, Norman?
Is that
Judge,
Me.
that's up to you.
I'm good.
Any questions for me? It's just, I would like to make sure that I am meeting my requirements that I sign for to be a retail pharmacy for my contracts, to meet my Medicare D requirements, and having it open, I do feel that I would meet my requirements that I signed.
And direct access, just to ask, so open, easily accessible to public, directly from public space. So you're saying it needs to be out front, it couldn't be a side street?
I consider that right street up front,
Okay,
street access.
okay.
Could we move,
Not an indirect route from another street, but directly in front of the pharmacy.
what street is that, Water Street or Green Street?
Water, so.
If Water was left open, and if you could turn on Main Street for X amount of feet to get to your building, would that be in compliance with this? Or do they have to have through traffic?
That as far as, I just needed the customers, Medicare D people, they just need direct access. And I see the street as being direct access.
The problem I see not having through traffic is it's a narrow street to begin with. And it's almost difficult to get parked there, let alone turn around if you've only got one lane.
Yeah, it'd be hard to turn around once you got in there.
And what the state's attorney has said is there are specific guidelines that have to be met as a minimum during the fair. And it's fortunate for us, if there was a ramp in front of her building, you couldn't block it with the fair.
So we need to
It's
have the
it's
whole
fortunate
block
for us the ramp's on the end of the street.
We need to have the whole block open.
Only, the way it reads right now is not during the fair. During the fair, there has to be a wide path with ramps no greater than 5 degrees, parking up to the to the ramps, to the sidewalk and all that stuff. But up until Thursday, it has to be open. It has to be open as long as possible.
But as soon as it begins, we can close it.
As soon as it begins, you can close the street, but you cannot close that sidewalk.
We'll never close the sidewalk. The sidewalk's fine.
And if the carnival puts cables or ramps or generators or anything there, all that stuff has to be ramped so that anybody in a wheelchair can roll through it.
On the,
Sidewalk.
in the street or what?
On the sidewalk.
Okay, the sidewalk, we don't touch the sidewalk.
During the event.
We don't touch the sidewalk.
Are they going to put generators and cables on Water Street?
I'm not sure. When the carnival comes, we'll discuss where the generators have to be.
Yeah. During the carnival, they cannot block Water Street and access to that sidewalk.
Well, we plan on keeping every side street open. That's what we said, that
Right.
from walking from Water Street, where the ramp is, to her door is less than what it is from going to CVS, from the handicap parking place to the desk. I mean,
And that's,
It's closer.
and that's if you get a front row parking spot right there.
In the
And-
handicap,
and-
yes.
And, you know, remember about your turning around piece. And in all honesty, I mean, when I read this, it's direct access.
see, I don't understand this. You know, considering when we got a thing from the state of Illinois that we gave you last time,
That is actually from the Illinois Pharmacists Association director. And that was just regarding, apparently her question was pharmacy law, not ADAD, not the American Disabilities Act, not a contract that I have to sign saying that I am accessible.
well,
Norma, we're gonna, obviously, we're the ones who's gonna have to make the decision on that, so we'll discuss this with a lawyer and Larry and move forward from there, so thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Very good. The next person that we have on this evening's public comment agenda is Tim Hammond. You have two subjects that you're speaking to, sir.
I'd like to, Mr. Mayor, I would like to address the tree that never died. I have received and returned phone calls from people who gave evaluations of the condition and health of the tree in the alley owned by the city of Farmers from William Street north-south to Plum Street north-south. It runs east to west and west to east. The tree was directly in the corner inside the alley owned by our fair city. I got estimates on the health, the condition, and recommendations of what to do with this tree of professional, licensed arborists. I have their bills in front of me. I have in their own words, and I can testify that I called them, the three of them here, spoke to them, told them this tree belonged to the city and that they will pay these bills for evaluation. I'm still receiving phone calls and mail about my responsibility for a tree that I could do nothing about but bring the attention of the liability of this tree to our community, to the attention of our...
The tree was cut down
Last summer.
last summer. Okay.
cut down, well, the last correspondence I have was...
And this was you were getting an answer about the tree.
Yes, these folks want their money for the tree service that was rendered. They called City Hall and spoke to someone, I don't know who, and never received the payment.
Who called the people? Who called these people?
I did,
Okay.
because I felt that my bringing attention to this genuine liability though it was that of a concerned citizen, it is not my individual responsibility to shoulder the expense of proving the failure of the tree and its health and the liability that it represented to the members of the Methodist Church. 120 cars every
Can I
Saturday,
get a copy of the bills?
and I do.
Can I get a copy of the bills?
You got one of each here.
We have a copy now?
Yes,
Man,
yes.
This is
No, I have
there you go.
dated them, and I submit them now.
Okay.
I was going to read the comments from Heartwood Tree Solutions, because there's a,
As is my understanding, sir, you brought the attention to the tree. At the time, we did not feel that the tree was, needed to be cut down. At a later time, we changed our mind, or we determined that it was. Okay, well, we'll take care of those.
thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much, Mr. Mayor.
You had a,
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
sir, was that the only thing?
No, I have a second one. I didn't know how much time I'd eat up with that,
Yep.
but, and
On
now
Maple Street?
perhaps this is a better time to ask that question I wanted to ask earlier.
Who authorized the fall beach season?
I think Mr. Hannon did. I understand.
On Maple Street, sir, yes, sir.
Pardon me?
Maple Street?
Yes, I put in a Freedom of Information Act request that Sandy was kind enough to take from me. She attempted to find out the information that I had requested and wrote me a letter in a very timely fashion to make me aware that, Mr. Hannon, your Freedom of Information Act request dated February 18th, 2016 at this time cannot be filled. At this time, due to the fact that the Maple Street project has not been engineered. At that time, February 18th. There are code lines of paint and is it Farnsworth or Farnsworth? Farnsworth has been down there to shoot elevations through the primacy works of stepping forward with this project, but no information is available to the citizens of the city to come to a better understanding of what we're up to here. How can we have an engineering company at work without an engineer's report or a project number or some sort of parameter under which we can request Freedom of Information Act information?
So right now, you're coming to us saying you'd like that information,
I think we all would.
and we cannot get that out at this time, correct?
There's nothing to give out, Mayor. And I
That's what I'm
explained this
saying,
to Mr. Hannon the other day at City Hall, that as soon as that information was available from Farnsworth Group, I would gladly give it to him.
Yes, sir.
They went down there and the painted lines is where the existing sewer or proposed sewer may go. Other than that,
There hasn't been.
it's in drafting and engineering. So there's nothing finalized to give this gentleman yet.
Thank you, sir. We don't have any information to give you on that right now. So
Okay, well,
very good.
thank you
sir.
for the
Yes, sir.
timely attention to the bills from last year.
The next person that we have on this evening's public comment agenda is Chris Knox. You have the floor.
Hello, I'm Chris Knox.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad we actually have a lawyer here because there's some questions I have about that. I'm part of the Prairie Ridge subdivision out there in TIF 2, I believe is what we are. TIF 2. The first time I spoke at the council meeting, I mentioned the fact that there was a lot of stuff in TIF 2 that I thought should have been addressed by the council with the landowner, the developer, and the city council. And there was a comment made by the mayor at one point when I brought up the fact that shouldn't Stuart Drake and the developer be paying for all this stuff that should have already been in the system. And there's a lot of stuff out there in the TIF 2 that hasn't been completed. And I suggested to the city council that they talk to the lawyer about looking into that fact, that nothing, to make sure that everything has been completed in TIF 2 that needs to be completed in TIF 2 before they start the new development and buy the land from Stuart Drake and go through that process. When I mentioned that, when I was standing in the back, the mayor made a comment that's always stuck in my head, that no, we don't want to do that because we're trying to negotiate this land with Stuart Drake. And they, in my mind, I kind of thought that was kind of, they're going to use that as a bargaining chip to get Stuart Drake to actually sell the new land to the city council so they can start the next development.
Not so much bargaining chip, but it's hard to negotiate. I mean, if there are things that I agree with that was not complete, TIF 2 originally. Coming at him on that right now, whether or not it gets done or not in court would be, may happen, may not, but it could very well, kill any future expansion out there at any time.
I understand that, but the way I look at business in a way, most of us here, middle income families, working class families, is that I just don't think you give somebody a pass on something just so you can do more business with them if they haven't fulfilled their duties on their first contract.
Here, here.
And so that's kind of how I kind of feel about that kind of stuff. I'm glad you're moving on the water. I mean, we still have water issues out there, but when you guys came out there and you dug up the tile, and this is one of my problems I have with Farmer City. I've lived here for about 10 years or so, but you have to have standards. And if you don't meet those standards and your standards are low, then everything goes low. And this is, I kind of put this on the city manager on this. They came out there, they dug up a pipe, and this is the third time they dug up that pipe to do something. When they did the church expansion, they dug up the pipe and they filled it back in. They didn't fill it back in with all the dirt. They left a hole there. I filled it back in. But this last time they came out there and they got white rock in it. I mow that because I actually garden there with the guy who owns the land. He lets me garden there. But I mow that strip. Now I have white rock that I'm going to have to mow over that's not covered in dirt. It's just kind of half done. It's not done complete. There's no standard. And that kind of comes back with leadership. Leadership has to have standards in order for us to really grow as a community and get better. And I just don't see that in little projects like this. It's the little things that make us good. So that's kind of what I want to say.
Good.
All right?
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Chris.
And the final public comment that we have is Scott Kelly. Sir, you have the floor.
I just kind of wanted to fill you in on the South Park camp project that we've got going on. We've got most of it completed. We've taken donations for almost everything out there. We've got 21 picnic tables lined up, paid for. We've got 21 fire pits with grills paid for. Just a few other things and we'll be finished with it. I know there's some concerns with the adjacent property. Evidently, while we were cleaning that up, we threw some wood chips on their property. That's been taken care of today. Do you guys have any questions or concerns?
Who's you in charge out there?
Pretty much, it's all volunteer help.
Okay.
I'm really impressed with what you've done.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
With the group that you got together and everything. Thank you for improving our parks.
Last thing I was concerned with was fire pits, and it's like you got that.
We got that today. We've had donations, private donations from businesses. We also have more donations coming. So as we get going, we're going to do some other upgrades too.
Very good. Well, I appreciate the work that you've done out there, and it's amazing to see it happen. So,
If you guys get a chance, stop out there and check it out.
Yes, sir.
From what I understand through social media, you're getting quite a bit of out-of-town interest.
We have over 700 members through social media.
Okay.
And we've had people come as far as Springfield to come help us.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. That's awesome.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Steve.
Well, with that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
So,
Call it.
Harden?
Yes.
Testori?
Yes.
Jenkins?
Yes.
Vaughn?
yes.
Motion carries.